Reddit, what were the best comebacks you've ever heard? Story 1. My old roommate's wife was a waitress. She's serving a table one night of middle-aged businessmen who have been drinking. They're mostly polite, but one dude is starting to get pretty drunk and really forward with his comments. He tells her, "I really want you to sit on my face." Without missing a beat, she replies, "Because your nose is bigger than your..." The rest of the table went nuts. The dude turned bright red and left her alone, although she later admitted he wasn't being that rude, just got too comfortable. Edit spelling. Story 2. Some group of college freshmen filled a condom with water and tried to drop it on my head mist. I snuck up on them and started with them. Most were apologetic, but one of the girls gave me attitude and said it wasn't used or anything. I said, "Of course it isn't. Look at you." I was pissed at the time, but I've actually felt terrible about it ever since. She wasn't even ugly, but I could tell it made her feel bad. In any case, it was my best work. Story 3. Aussie cricketer Glenn McGrath was getting frustrated with Zimbabwean batsman Edo Brandis during a game. "Hey Edo, why are you such a fat?" "Well, Glenn, every time I hear wife, she gives me a biscuit. Play stop for a bit," while everyone fell about laughing. Story 4. Secret Santa gift exchange in college. One guy gets a collection of British currency. He liked to collect foreign bills and coins, and a girl makes a rude comment about it being a stupid gift. Cue my mouth running off before my brain can stop it. "Karen, don't be rude. He just didn't want you to be the only one who gained 20 pounds this semester." Pandemonium ensued as her boyfriend tried to pick a fight while she burst into tears. It was not the best day for the club. Story 5. Random kid. "I bet you can't see your penis in the shower." My friend, "Nope." "Only your mom's head." Yes, I know this comeback was taken from somewhere, but that doesn't make it worse. Story 6. The story of how my grandparents went on their first date has the greatest comeback ever. My grandpa was working a sub shop at the register. My grandma was in line. They've kind of met a few times in passing before, and she gets up to the register, and my grandfather, attempting to hit on her, says, "How do you get through life looking so ugly?" And my grandma replies, "I don't know, but you've been doing it longer than I have," and they've been happily married ever since. Edit. I hate to disappoint you all, but they did not get married on the spot in the sub shop. Story 7. Back in teenage Dom arguing with my mom about chores. "Mom, you think I should wipe your for you too?" Me beats doing it myself. Mom wipes my face. We both laughed so hard we forgot about the argument. Story 8. Fox 5 host. "Don't you think you went a little too far with the Catholic Church jokes?" Bill Burr. "Don't you think the Catholic Church went a little too far?" Story 9. I work at a bar, and these two older ladies were talking to each other. "Lady 1, no body, really likes you. Lady 2, go of another 5 before you end up homeless again." I don't even bother to pretend that I'm not listening to the conversations around me. This one got a big laugh out of me. Story 10. I'm friends with this guy that has a large nose. It's not bad looking, actually suits him quite well, but he'll poke fun at him for it sometimes. Anyways, one day we were roasting each other. So I hit him with, "Your nose is bigger than Kim Kardashian's." He came back with, "You have bigger than your mother." I'm a guy. I shut up after that. Story 11. Many years ago, when I was 12, I got into an argument with my mother and father. Exasperated, my mother said, "You talk like you think your father, and I don't have a brain between us." I immediately said, "No, I do think you have a brain between you." My father burst out laughing. End of argument. Story 12. My best friend got into a shouting match with his mother. After a while, she unloaded on him with insert friend's name here. "You little son of..." His reply was, "That's what I've been saying for the last half hour." Story 13. Once watch a row in school between two girls after a few minutes of insults. This is said girl 1. "Would you wear socks if you had no feet?" Girl 2 confused. "What?" Girl 1 slowly. "Would you wear socks if you had no feet?" Girl 2 still confused. "No." Girl 1. "Why do you wear a bra then?" Row over. Story 14. My cousin was in town for Thanksgiving. He goes up to my 10-year-old skinny nephew and jokes, "Hey, it looks like you're gaining weight." My 10-year-old cousin, without skipping a beat, tells him, "Hey, it looks like you have diabetes." My cousin is 300 plus pounds. He hasn't been back to visit since. Story 15. Reply by a kindergartner to a pair of 5th graders who try to tell him Santa isn't real. "Santa brings me presents. And if Santa doesn't bring you presents, you should think about why." Story 16. Mate, your nan gets bullied at bingo. Was getting my hair cut, and this mother and her 4 kids come in. Immediately, I felt bad for the mother, because one of the young boys was running around like he just drank 2 Red Bulls. At one point, the mother snapped after telling him to behave 4 or 5 times and threatened to take away his PS3. The entire place went silent because she yelled it, and you could tell she was already embarrassed. What came out of her son's mouth was to this day the funniest I've ever heard. He yelled, "If you take away my PlayStation, I'm going to tell Grandma that Daddy puts his pee in your mouth." The mother didn't even respond. She just grabbed her kids and left the salon. Everyone burst into hysterics afterwards. Edit had wrong person putting said object in mouth. Story 17. I wasn't present, but my friend told me this story. This is potentially very offensive, but I should make perfectly clear that every party involved in this exchange took it in the good humor that it was meant as. my white friend is in a racially diverse friendship circle, in which the majority are black. Those guys frequently engage in racially charged banter with each other. The non-black members generally don't join in, and are always left feeling awkward when it happens. One day, one of his black friends in her room saw that only my friend and a bunch of other white friends were present. He then said in a joking manner, "What up, ma honest?" "Oh no, wait, you can't say that, can you?" One of the white friends rounded on him and said, "Maybe not. But there are plenty of things we can say, like thanks for the warning, officer, and hi, dad." His black friend apparently roared with laughter. Story 18, my mom made cupcakes one day, and they collapsed in the center for whatever reason. My husband at the time looked at them and told my mom they looked like, and she replied, "I was thinking of you when I made them." Easily the most witty and quickest comeback I've ever heard from her. Story 19a, self-righteous 25 guy proudly said, "I am a virgin. Someone said, I know a place where you can fix this for a small amount of money." Another one from school. "We were 19. One guy boasted, I lost my virginity at 13. Someone said, yeah, that PT teacher was a pedophile." Story 20, once I was at dinner with my friend and his girlfriend who is from India. She used the phrase, "shut your ears" instead of "don't listen" or something like that. Her boyfriend proceeded to mock her because he was in a mood. In a shitty voice, he said, "Wow, shut your ears, what kind of grammar is that?" She said really loudly for everyone at our table and the next table to hear, "How about shut your mouth? Is that correct enough grammar for you?" I laughed. Story 21, how to make a best friend for life. It was 2001 when I was in 5th grade. My dad did my ponytails in the morning. They were not cute. As I was walking away from my classmates, I overheard my bully laughing and saying her hair is messed up in the back, and the new girl in school shouted back to her, "Well, your face is messed up in the front." God, that was awesome. They'll never forget that as long as I live, we're still friends to this day. Edit, holy, my first silver. It's an honor. I'm having the worst day. This really made me smile. Thank you. I wanted to give an update on my bully. We later became friends. Turns out, she had her own stuff going on at home. That's why she was horrible to me for all of those years. It was my dad who told me to invite her to my birthday party, talk to her outside of school. My dad rocks. He was so right. Line delivered by me. Dad was boasting about his looks at 65. The nurses said I looked very good for my age. Me, you were there for a colonoscopy. Are you sure they were looking at your face? Edit spelling. Story 22, a friend was at a nightclub and saw a couple hot girls walk by. He said, "You're looking beautiful tonight." One of them looked him up and down and responded with, "I wish I could say the same for you," without missing a beat. He comes back with, "You could if you lie like I did." Story 23, professor to student, "You're not very far from a fool." Student to professor, "No ma'am, just 2 rows of chairs and a desk." Then standing up left the room and dropped her class. Story 24, partner is Aussie. We're going to visit his parents in Perth, and his dad made a joke saying he was going to put cocaine in my bag to get me in trouble. My reply, "Didn't know being a criminal was still a requirement to get in. Been living off that for days." Story 25, my wife and I were cuddling and having a little intimate time. She's about 8 shorter than me, and she was lamenting that fact. And I say, "Yeah, you're only about 4 from perfect," without missing a beat. She snuggles in closer and says, "You are too, my love." It took me a second to pick that up, at which point I rolled over and proceeded to die a little on the inside. Oh, 8 years on, and we're still 4 from perfect for each other. Edit, thank you for the silver. Kind stranger, I'm so happy y'all appreciated that. I should have added that she then cackled so hard she needed a hit on her inhaler to breathe normally again. Story 26, my grandfather used a handicap placard because of a heart condition. Outwardly, he looked very healthy. One woman saw him get out his car at the grocery store and told him, "You don't look handicapped." He told her, "You don't look like in." Story 27, I teach 16 to 20-year-olds, and one of my students kept insulting a girl. She turned around, and with a completely straight face, she said, "If you're not careful, ill your dad and become your stepmom." It was unexpected. Story 28, I am a nurse, and I was trying to gauge a confused patient's orientation status. When I asked him what type of building we're a hospital, he politely responded a multi-story one. Well, he was definitely not wrong. Story 29, we weren't listening to a friend, and he yelled at us and said, "It's like I'm talking to myself over here." My mate instantly replied, "Maybe if you were talking to yourself, you'd realize what a dumb you sound like." Story 30, my mom, when I was your age, I refused to date any boy whose hair was shorter than mine. My dad, wow. How short was your hair? Edit, it was just a great comeback. My mom had long hair in the 80s, and if a guy had hair shorter than hers, she wasn't attracted to him. We all know she had long hair, so no feelings were hurt. Story 31, I was with friends in a movie theater, and while I forgot what the movie was, it was apparent we were the oldest people watching the movie. While waiting for the previews to start, someone in the back makes a noise. Then someone repeats the noise, then 2 more, and so on. I said out loud, "Geez, this is getting old." When it all died down, a young'un a couple rows behind me said, "So are you Touche, you little. Story 32. Jim Sterling after Cobra Studios tried unsuccessfully to silence his criticism of their shitty game. You do not make your name by trying to censor a critic. All you guarantee at the very best is that you will be a small cautionary tale in a novel of somebody else's sterling career. As for you, Cobra Studio, well, when people say the name Jim Sterling, they think of Jim Sterling. When people say the name of Cobra Studio, they think of Jim Sterling. He's got a lot of savage burns to his name, but that was my fave. Story 33. So back when I was in JR High, wearing Aeropostale was a thing, but it was fading out of popularity. Me and a buddy were at Islands of Adventure in FL, and we were waiting in line for the Dueling Dragons roller coaster. As we were next in line to get on the coaster, I heard somebody yelling from on the ride. I looked over and realized some security-selling-looking bros were yelling in our direction, so I yelled back, "What? Aeropostale sucks." I look over and realize my buddy is wearing an Aeropostale shirt. The ride then starts to exit the tunnel, and right as they passed us, I yelled back, "Yeah. So does your boyfriend?" We didn't like that, but we were gone by the time they came back. Story 34. I was adopted at 4 months old. It was never presented in a bad light, just a matter of fact. And the oldest of my adopted family, my younger brother in a raging fit over something. "You're not my real brother." Me, "Yep, mom and dad chose me. They were stuck with you." Silence. Story 35. Friend was going through a nasty breakup with a cheating girlfriend. In the heat of their final argument, she made it a point to let him know that her ex's was way bigger than his. He replied, "Yeah, I could tell." Story 36. Don't remember where I saw it, but one dude used to date the other dude's wife. He was trying to be in and said, "How's that used feel?" Married dude didn't even react, just said after the first 2 inches, "Brand new." Story 37. Those guys saw my legs and called me sexy, and they could only see my legs. She was extremely happy about it. Yeah, because they didn't see your face. Edit context. The girl who was talking about her legs called the other one a buffalo for being dark-skinned than her, and proceeded to tell the story above. Story 38. College party. Dude pulled his out and plopped in a girl's shoulder. He asked her what it looked like, and she replied, "It looks like a penis, only smaller." Story 39. This one on Jimmy Kimmel. Actor Kumail Nanjiani, he is of Pakistani origin, reads a tweet, "Is Kumail Nanjiani's multiple colors?" His reply, "Yes. Every shade of your mom's lipstick, totally wrecked." Story 40. I once jokingly said to my wife, "You know, you should consider yourself lucky, really, as I'm quite fussy about my women." Without skipping a beat, she shot back, "Well, you're just lucky that I'm not fussy about my man." Burned. Story 41. These two guys from London used to hang around in Bristol selling bootleg grime CDs and urban movies and had great banter with people as they walked by. They called themselves the Black Gypsies and would often see what they had for sale. This group of girls walked by, and one of the guys calls out to them. Ladies, the group quickly steers away from these guys, and one of the girls goes, "No," and without missing a beat, he said, "What? You ain't ladies." I died right there, and so did they. Best time comeback, and in his accent, made it all the better. Story 42. Used to work in a bar that was pretty rowdy but had a brilliant atmosphere. Group of lads are pretty sloshed. One approaches the bar and asks for a pint in it. He looks back at his mates, thinking he's smart, until I reply, "The pint I can do, but if I needed a toothpick, I'd have gotten one from behind the bar." I swear I saw his ego die a little bit. Story 43. Not me, but a story about my uncle's childhood when he was in the 4 to 6 age range. It went something like this. "Dad, when do you think you're going to start behaving, young man?" "Son," my uncle crying, like 3 o'clock, gets me every time." Story 44. Our economics teacher was a complete legend, but one semester he had to take off because he broke his leg badly surfing, so we had a replacement. She was not a legend. One time we were all talking, year 12, so final year of school, and she got sick of us, so she said that we could only talk if it was about the work we were doing, which at the time was to do with the economic impact of unemployment. After about 5 minutes, if we started talking about random again. My mate was telling us about how his older sister had just had a daughter and had gone to meet her the weekend before. We obviously were a bit too loud, and the teacher heard us and called out, "Excuse me, table in the middle. It doesn't sound like you were talking about your work." And without any hesitation, I turned around and said, "Of course we are, miss. His niece is unemployed." I didn't think it was that great a comeback, but the class all lost there, and one of the guys came up to me after class and said, "Crazy, you've always been a pretty funny guy, but that was hilarious." I didn't have much self-confidence at the time, so it meant a lot to me. Story 45. Recent. Friend of mine said he and his wife are expecting. I told him name it after me. He replies with, "I would, but fucking retard doesn't work with her last name, haha." Story 46. Back when I was at school, I was good friends with this kid from Italy. His father had an ice cream van and would drive around and sell ice cream in the summers. For whatever reason, this was hilarious to some of the kids. One day, a kid with particularly bad eczema is taking me out of my friend. "Kid, get your dad to make me a 99 friend, yeah. And you could be the flake." Story 47, I forget where I heard it, but it's a father being sacked by his kid. Kid throws out some weapons-grade sass. Exasperated father looks at kid. I wish your mother had swallowed you that night. Story 48 in 2017. I was doing some shopping on Black Friday at Target and looking at some toys for my nephew when this woman bumps into my cart. She looks up from her phone, glares at me, and says, "Watch where you're going. Guy who saw the whole thing. She wasn't even moving you." I'm not normally confrontational, and I don't like it when men call women, but I gave that guy the biggest smile ever, paled, and booked it out of there. I hope your kid never learns how to read. Story 49, I had recently gone from my natural hair color dark brown to platinum blonde, and my boyfriend and I went to our favorite bar where one of our friends was the security. It's closing time, and he's telling everyone to leave. I start joking and loudly talking. Our friend comes back and tells me, "To Bimothy, your root's called. They're coming back." My jaw hit the floor, and I left trying to hide my hair, and my boyfriend is laughing his off behind me. I didn't come back till I got my hair touched up. Story 50, I got in an argument with some people drinking alcohol, smoking, and spitting in the shopping center near where children frequent. They started getting really aggressive, so I walked away, and the woman yelled, "Suck my you," and without thinking, I responded, "You look like you have one." Then the comments made by them, I cannot repeat. My poor mother was shocked, huh? Story 51, walking around D.C. with a group of exchange students, me being one of them and a chaperone. I dropped some unwanted change in a beggar's cup. Chaperone says you shouldn't give them money to these guys. They make more money I do. Me, maybe you should get a better job then. Story 52, guy in my class in high school who was a total creep thought it would be funny to grab his and say to a group of girls, "Did anyone order an extra large?" One of the girls responded immediately with, "We did. Can you go check if it's arrived yet?" Story 53, one day, my friend and I went for lunch with a couple of our female friends. While paying at the hostess station, two obnoxious bro types walked in and were waiting for the hostess to finish taking our payment so they could be seated. One bro turns to my male friend and asks, "How did a couple of guys like you get beautiful women like these?" Without missing a beat, I turned to him and said, "Big dicks." Story 54, I was a waitress, and this group had one too many to drink. This guy was incessantly hitting on me. So I politely told him I had a boyfriend, and he started to ask me things about my boyfriend. Does he pays for dinner? Does he takes care of you? And that kind of drunk attempt to diminish him. After a few minutes of me ignoring him, he asked about my boyfriend's genitals. That's when I lost my cool. "What's the matter with you? Why are you so obsessed about my?" I already told you he's taken. His friend started to roast the dude badly. They left me a good tip. There's this new show on Netflix called The Fix. Jimmy Carr, the host, asked the other comedians how they'd like to die. After all their answers, he says he'd like to die by drowning in. Catherine Ryan, one of the mainstay comedians, responds by saying, "Well, first you have to get it wet." Story 55, during the summer, I had an internship at a co-working space. The boss asked me to create and distribute a survey to all companies that work there to collect data for an internal event. As his request, I added questions for names, emails, and phone numbers so that the manager of co-working space can easily contact everyone when needed. Those informations were not compulsory, of course, if someone doesn't feel like sharing. Anyway, there was this woman, probably some boss of whatever company, came to our office and demanded the age of the person who made the survey. I raised my hand and said I was 19. She then proceeded to smirk and claim makes sense. After that, she continued to irritate the whole office with her bossy tone, teaching me not to ask for other personal informations, and after 5 minutes of her delivering her lifetime speech, I could not take it anymore and simply cut her with, "Yes, ma'am. I understand. I will take your advice next time." She stayed silent for a few seconds, then looked down on me. Asked, "Which uni do you go to?" with a belittled tone. So I answered, "That's also a personal information, ma'am." She immediately shut the F up, then left. Story 56, went to Benihana and got a chef who was American. Typically, they are Japanese. The food was a little bland, and so asked the chef if he had any ketchup. Chef, "Sorry, sir. Ketchup is not Japanese. Me neither are you." Everybody had a good laugh, but for some reason I felt really bad for saying that. Still, one of my quick comebacks. Story 57, one guy in our group was below average in looks. He was made fun of, but he took it lightly. One day, he was not in the mood. When someone made a comment, he said, "Have you seen my parents? I'm actually an improvement. And guess what? If I looked like you, that would have meant my mother is a... I would rather be a ugly guy with dignified mother than a hunk from... That was back when we were 15 or 16. We are 35 now. No one in the group has made fun of him since. And with diet control and exercising, he looks younger and better than most of us now. Story 58, Stephen Hawking and John Oliver. Oliver posed a question. You've stated that you believe there could be an infinite number of parallel universes. Does that mean that there's a universe out there where I'm smarter than you? Yes, Hawking replied, and also a universe where you're funny. Story 59, well, look what the cat dragged in ya and left it on your face. He was trying to grow a beard. And failing also, did you know that if someone knits a sweater for their significant other, they're likely to break up before the sweater is finished? If I knit you a sweater, would you go away then? Story 60 in college. The guy next door swaggers over to my room to brag after bringing a girl over for fun. Neighbor, hope we didn't keep you up. Me not for long. The poor guy looked defeated as my roommate laughed us off at him. Story 61, my friend is a savage for ripping people to shreds with words. Not his best, but a memorable one was when these girls came up to him and started hitting on him and expected him to buy them drinks. He immediately shot back. Oh, sorry, girls, didn't mean to give you the wrong impression. I'm straight. So they were like, WTF, do you mean, we know? And he said, oh, sorry, dress like that, I thought you were drag queens. Story 62, my dad likes to have philosophical conversations at the weirdest of times, like ask some profoundly deep question out of the blue. Once when we went out for ice cream, he asked me, at what point in your life did you feel the most sincere joy? Without looking up, I said, when you stop asking me these questions. Didn't miss a beat. If I wanted my comeback, I would have wiped them off your mother's chin. Story 63, guy to me, referring to my breasts, are those fake? Me, yes, I got them done at the same place that put that on your head. They are real, but I was sick of rude questions like this, so took the opportunity. Story 64, heard an apprentice arguing with one of the older tradesmen at work. Tradesman tells said apprentice he's been doing this job since before the lad was born. Lad answers, he'll still be doing it long after you're dead. Story 65, this one's famous, but it's a good one. Dave Chappelle made a music video on his show parodying R. Kelly's Ignition, the remix called On You Apparently Are. Kelly saw this video and asked an interviewer, paraphrase, man, why you gotta go make a video about peeing on someone? Chappelle said, man, why did you go make a video peeing on someone? Edit backstory. For the uninitiated, R. Kelly made a video where he peed on someone who was allegedly underage. He was arrested and taken to court, but got out of it. I've always enjoyed this exchange between Churchill and a member of parliament and P. Mr. Churchill, must you fall asleep while I'm speaking? Churchill, no, it's purely voluntary. Story 66, this one happened to me. I was with a bunch of friends a few years ago, and I had made some stupid joke. Cue this Jimmy, what can I say? I'm a funny guy, friend, yes, but looks aren't everything. Everyone cracked up, including me. Story 67, my brother responding to emails while looking for a job. One person asked if he had ever used power tools. His answer still makes me laugh. Any tool in my hand is a power tool. Story 68, a little context, I was 17 and a modestly overweight guy. It was at a friend's 18th birthday party at her house. Big house out in the countryside, so everyone was staying there overnight, about 50 of us. Everyone's drinking, laughing, having a great time. Apart from this one girl, nobody really likes her, as she's just massively bitchy about everyone and everything but small school, so kinda had to invite her. She's being extremely negative, bitching all the time, just generally bringing everyone down. It's the end of the night, and everyone's kind of winding down, but still awake. We're all in this one large room with mattresses on the floor. Now, I've been drinking since about 2 p.m., and it's now about 3 a.m., and I'm a rambling drunk. Just constant bullshit. But it's funny, I think, and I'm still actually talking to people, not just myself. Then this girl, just out of nowhere, says, shut up, Dibs, 234, no one cares a Sadie. Just cost my are bigger than yours doesn't mean you need to be jealous. Never in all my life has a response come out of my mouth that fast. This was straight bypass, the brain goes straight to mouth. Moment of silence, then just endless laughter. She kept trying for a comeback of her own, but everyone just kept laughing literally at her face till she stormed out. I was talking to the birthday girl later on, and she kept saying she was so happy I said that to her. Everyone been getting sick and tired of her shitty attitude all year, and she was glad someone had finally said something to her. She never recovered socially. Everyone was just done with her. The glass wall was broken, and all of a sudden no one was taking her anymore. So that was my favorite comeback. Story 69, math class. 1994, I went to a very small high school, and my senior year math was me, the bully, and the overweight kid plus a very timid teacher. The bully starts day one in September. Why are you so fat? Continues this over and over for half the year, at least twice a class, and the teacher is too timid to do anything about it. The overweight kid just ignores him, but you can tell it's getting to him. One day, just after winter break, why are you so fat? Nothing. Why are you so fat? Nothing. Why are you so fat? Because after I'm done your mom, she feeds me sandwiches. Story 70, I was at a get-together with my husband, some friends, and my brother-in-law. Men being men, they're all talking and making jokes about their prowess. So my brother-in-law keeps going on about how he is like a motorcycle engine and he can ride a chick for miles. So I chirped in with, so that's why they call you two-stroke. This was followed by multiple high fives to me, and even his best friend half-dry me. I'll admit, I was more than a little proud of myself. Story 71, playing cribbage against my mother. Mom, you son of a... And me agreed my grandmother, and I couldn't stop laughing. Took my mom a few seconds to get it. Story 72, my friend used to copy my biology homework in high school constantly. And our biology teacher always knew. One day she hit him with, "Who are you going to copy from when you're flipping burgers at McDonald's?" He was burned for days, and the class erupted in a synchronized OHHH. Story 73, some high society women had a beef. Forget who. New York Times many moons ago, younger woman to older woman, when attending some dinner party and waiting to enter age before beauty. Older woman pearls before swine. Story 74, one time, I held the door to a group of friends, and to mess with this one guy, I said in a snug way, "Ladies first." His reply was, "You homos are so nice," which made all the girls laugh, backfired on me. Story 75, I remember playing a CSGO lobby where a player called WoW was being toxic and casual. She was super salty, but being a girl, she had all the players taking it and talking to her. I looked at her Steam profile, and it was full of her IRL boyfriend talking about how great he was. We'll call him Brandon. This was back when enemy teams could talk to each other, and inevitably I killed her in a match. She then started talking salt to me. Maybe if you stopped taking Brandon's load in your mouth, you'd stop being so salty. She freaked out and eventually left the lobby, but I was proud of my victory for my fellow gamers. Story 76, back in high school, there was this annoying weeb girl everyone hated who was annoying one of my friends by not letting him get to his locker. Hey Race, what I overheard. "Weeb girl, you don't deserve a locker, friend." Well, you don't deserve a life, you failed abortion of a person. Back off. High school was a brutal place. Story 77, I was on a weekend camp with a group of girl guides aged 10 to 13. We're eating breakfast one morning, and one announces the quiet is so nice. Another immediately snaps. "Don't ruin it then." I pissed myself laughing, and then told her off. Too good. Story 78, there was once this belligerent black kid who always caused trouble for the teachers. One day, he did his stupid thing of the day, and the teacher tells him he'll need to go to the office. If he keeps it up, he starts going off on how all the teachers are racist and how it's wrong, blah, blah, blah. He then starts quoting MLK, saying, "I have a dream," and the quiet kid who sits in the back yelled, "You do realize the last person who said that got shot, the entire class lost it," and the idiot STFU for the rest of the day. Story 79, this was about 10 years ago, so I'm paraphrasing. Playing Xbox FPS in a private game with Mike and Mike Jr., and just our group of 8 people. Mike and Junior were on opposite teams. "Mike Jr., I sniped you from across the map. You are terrible." "Mike Jr., I snuck up and stabbed you. Your KD is terrible." "Mike Jr., everyone here is better than you." Finally, Mike had enough. Your mom silenced for a minute. Then JR logged off, and we all burst out laughing. Then you hear JR yelling at Dad over Dad's mic. He just says, "Well, I did." Story 80, my friend wore shorts on a day we were supposed to dress formally. Luckily, this girl had an extra pair of dress pants, so he changed into those. He was like, "Ugh, this is the gayest thing I've ever done." I replied, "Not really. Technically, you got in her pants." Story 81, when I was about 10 years old, I went to Nando's with my friend and her family. My dad always loved chili and spice, so in turn I grew up loving it as well. I remember I ordered the hottest plate of chicken wings, and the waiter asked him sorry, "But I'm sure those are far too hot for you." And I fired back, "I've had mouthwash hotter than this." Story 82 guy I work with is a unique fellow. He has this thing about young girls in our workplace. All of legal age, of course, but the things he says seems to be a little too much, to the point where myself and other coworkers just kind of step away. We donated food to a local middle school recently to help with homeless children. Months later, the school's committee and few students showed up at our place of work to thank us and provide us gifts. After the meeting was complete, that guy I told you about said, "Hey, I got a question." Obviously work-related, but I responded quickly with, "Whoa, man, they are in middle school." The office died laughing. His face turned as red as it could be and walked away huffing. I still hear about it to this day from co-workers. He never did ask me that question and rarely talks to me. Story 83, basically any comeback from Jack and Victor from the Scottish TV show Still Game 2002. The barman always tries to throw a dig at them when they walk into the bar, but they always shoot him down. "You're putting the beef on Jack." That's right. Every time I hear wife, she makes me a sandwich.